Earth received the mysterious signals in 2057. For 3 days, the same pattern repeated from somewhere beyond Mars. Scientists worldwide scrambled to understand the message, but Dr. Alan Wright was the first to recognize it wasn't random noise. It's structured communication. He told his colleagues at the Johnson Space Center, "Look at the mathematical sequence underlying the pulses." Dr. Wright was 42. With thinning brown hair and glasses, he constantly adjusted when excited. For 15 years, he had searched for extraterrestrial intelligence, facing ridicule from more serious astronomers. Now, his persistence had paid off. The news spread globally. Governments called emergency meetings. Religious leaders debated the theological implications. And Lisa Martinez, the United Nations head of interplanetary relations, prepared humanity for possible first contact. "We must approach this with caution and openness," she said during a worldwide broadcast. This could be the most important moment in human history. 6 days after the initial signal, Earth sent a response. Basic mathematical principles and information about human biology and society. For weeks, silence followed. Then came a clearer message: coordinates for a meeting point on the far side of the moon. "They've been watching us," Lisa told Dr. Wright as they reviewed the message. "Maybe for years. But why reveal themselves now?" he wondered. The answer came with the arrival of a massive vessel in lunar orbit. It dwarfed any spacecraft humans had built, stretching nearly a mile in length, with a strange crystalline structure that seemed to bend light around it. The vessel dispatched a smaller craft to the lunar surface, where a hastily assembled team waited. Dr. Wright and Commander Olivia Grant led the Earth delegation. Commander Grant had served with distinction in the Space Force. At 35, she combined military precision with diplomatic skills. "Remember," she told the team before the landing, "we represent all of humanity today." The alien craft touched down without a sound. A doorway appeared in its seamless hull, and 3 figures emerged. They weren't what anyone expected. The aliens stood 7 feet tall with 4 arms and iridescent skin that shifted colors as they moved. Their large eyes contained multiple pupils, and they wore no visible breathing apparatus despite the lunar vacuum. "We represent the Galactic Council," the tallest one communicated directly into the humans' minds. "A federation of 27 species across this spiral arm of the galaxy." The Council explained they had monitored Earth for centuries, waiting until humans developed sufficient technology to be considered for membership. The aliens spoke of benefits: advanced medical knowledge, faster than light travel, and access to resources beyond Earth. But as the meeting continued, Dr. Wright noticed concerning patterns in their language. "They keep referring to us as promising specimens and adaptable workers," he whispered to Commander Grant. "I don't think they see us as equals." He was right. The Council classified humans as a Tier 3 species, intelligent enough to be useful but not advanced enough for full rights. They described Earth as a resource-rich environment requiring proper management. When the meeting ended, the Council representatives invited Earth to send a formal delegation to their regional headquarters, a massive space station they had secretly constructed in orbit around Jupiter. "This is an opportunity," Lisa Martinez told world leaders after the lunar meeting. "But we should proceed with caution." Private analysis of the aliens' language and behavior revealed a subtle condescension. The Council viewed humans as primitive but potentially useful laborers. They seemed particularly interested in Earth's mineral resources and biodiversity. Despite reservations, Earth couldn't ignore the technological advantages of Council membership. The world's nations selected a delegation: Dr. Wright for his scientific expertise, Commander Grant for security assessment, and others representing Earth's diverse knowledge and cultures. As their ship departed for Jupiter, Dr. Wright stared back at the blue marble of Earth. "They're underestimating us," he said quietly, "and that might be the only advantage we have." The journey to Jupiter took 3 weeks aboard the Council transport vessel. Dr. Wright spent most of his time studying alien technology, while Commander Grant observed the crew's routines and security protocols. The other 6 delegation members, scientists, diplomats, and military officers, prepared for their roles in the negotiations. As they approached Jupiter, the massive Council space station came into view. It orbited the gas giant like an artificial moon, its spiral structure stretching nearly 30 miles across. "It's beautiful," whispered Dr. Wright. "And heavily armed," added Commander Grant, pointing to the weapon emplacements visible along the outer ring. The Earth delegation docked at a special reception bay. They were met by Grand Ambassador Zorthal of the Drachnid species, tall, reptilian beings with metallic scales and 4 yellow eyes. "Welcome to Outpost Sigma 17, Zorthal said in flawless English. "We are pleased you accepted our invitation." The humans were escorted to luxurious quarters, but Commander Grant noticed surveillance devices hidden in the walls and ceilings. The next morning, formal discussions began. The council chamber housed representatives from 12 species, each more alien than the last. Some floated in special tanks, others required methane atmospheres and communicated through translators. Zorthal outlined the membership conditions. Earth would receive technological assistance, medical knowledge, and protection from potential threats. In exchange, humans would provide labor, resources, and allow council bases on Earth and throughout the solar system. "These terms are quite one-sided," Lisa Martinez observed. She had joined the delegation at the last minute, bringing her diplomatic experience. "You misunderstand," replied Zorthal. "As a Tier 3 species, this is most generous. Many worlds wait centuries for such an offer." During a recess, Dr. Wright accessed a data terminal left unlocked by a careless aide. He downloaded files about Earth and was disturbed by what he found. "They've cataloged all our mineral deposits, water resources, and genetic diversity," he told Commander Grant that evening. "They speak of humans as a resource to be harvested." Over dinner, council representatives made little effort to hide their disdain for humans. A gelatinous being called Sorix laughed at human spacecraft designs. Another, a crystalline entity named Veshna, mocked Earth's political systems. "How do you manage anything with so many competing governments?" Veshna asked. "Our diversity is our strength," replied Commander Grant. "A charming perspective," Zorthal said with what passed for a smile. "But inefficient." On the 3rd day, while touring the station, Commander Grant separated from the group and found a restricted area. Using skills from her military training, she bypassed security and discovered a warehouse filled with Earth artifacts, some dating back centuries. "They've been visiting Earth far longer than they admitted," she told the delegation that night, "and taking whatever they wanted." Dr. Wright shared another disturbing discovery. Council regulations classified any resistance to membership as developmental deficiency, justifying forced integration. "They're not inviting us to join," Lisa realized. "They're giving us the illusion of choice." The delegation debated their options: return to Earth and warn humanity, accept limited membership and work to improve terms. The stakes were enormous. "We need more information," said Dr. Wright, "and allies, if possible." On the 5th day, during a formal reception, Lisa Martinez noticed tension between certain species. The Fellerans, feline beings with advanced biotechnology, seemed particularly uncomfortable around the Drachnid. "Not all council members agree with current policies," a Felleran whispered to her when they were momentarily alone. "Some of us believe in true cooperation." After 2 weeks of negotiations, the delegation prepared to return to Earth. They carried with them council technology samples, membership terms, and hidden data about the council's true intentions. As their ship pulled away from the station, Commander Grant looked at Jupiter's swirling clouds. "They see us as primitive," she said. "That's their first mistake." The return to Earth sparked global debate. Television screens worldwide showed images of the alien space station, while experts argued over the Council's offer. Some saw opportunity in advanced technology and interstellar travel. Others recognized the dangers of the unequal terms. President Jack Freeman called an emergency United Nations session in New York. Security was tight as world leaders gathered to hear the delegation's report. The Council views Earth as a resource, not a partner, Commander Grant explained, standing before the assembly. She displayed holographic images of the restricted areas she had discovered. They've been studying us for centuries, taking what they wanted without our knowledge. Dr. Wright presented his findings next. Their technology is centuries beyond ours, but they're unwilling to share advances that would give us independence or equality. Lisa Martinez outlined the proposed membership terms. We would be classified as a labor species with limited rights. Our resources would be subject to council management, which means they take what they want. The debate lasted for days. Scientists argued that even limited access to alien technology could solve Earth's environmental crisis. Military leaders warned of becoming defenseless against superior forces. Religious figures questioned the spiritual implications of joining an interstellar community. Meanwhile, Council representatives grew impatient. 3 large vessels entered Earth orbit, described as diplomatic support craft. Their presence felt more threatening than reassuring. At her laboratory in Geneva, Dr. Samantha Reed analyzed soil samples from sites worldwide. For months, she had investigated strange mineral depletion patterns. The Council's arrival provided the missing piece. They've been harvesting our rare Earth elements for decades, she told President Freeman during a secure call. These aren't random depletions. They match exactly with materials used in Council technology. The Council ambassador, a drachnid named Krelvon, requested a private meeting with President Freeman. Your species delays unnecessarily, Krelvon said. The Council's patience has limits. You have 7 days to accept our generous offer. When President Freeman asked for more time, Krelvon's 4 eyes narrowed. Perhaps you misunderstand your position. Council protection has already begun. That evening, mysterious lights appeared over major cities worldwide. By morning, orbital platforms hovered above New York, Beijing, Moscow, London, and 20 other population centers. We never agreed to this, President Freeman protested during an emergency communication. The Council has determined Earth requires immediate protective measures, Krelvon replied smoothly. For your own security. A global vote was hastily organized. After 3 days of intense campaigning, Earth's population narrowly voted to join the Council, but with conditions. Humanity demanded equal representation, control over Earth's resources, and gradual technology sharing. The Council's response came within hours. Conditions are not acceptable from Tier 3 species, Krelvon announced. The Council has implemented protective occupation until Earth's social and political development reaches appropriate levels. More vessels appeared in orbit. Smaller craft descended to Earth, establishing bases near major resource deposits. Humans who protested were detained for re-education. The Council appointed human collaborators to administrative positions. They offered rewards to those who cooperated, better food, special privileges, advanced medical treatment. Dr. Wright and Commander Grant escaped capture when soldiers came for the delegation members. Lisa Martinez wasn't so fortunate. She was taken to a re-education facility outside Paris. From a hidden basement in Chicago, Dr. Wright sent encrypted messages to resistance cells forming worldwide. They expect us to surrender without fighting. They think we'll accept slavery for comfort and trinkets. Commander Grant established a secure base in the Rocky Mountains. The Council made a critical mistake. She told the former Special Forces operators who joined her, "They judged us by our technology, not our determination." As Council mining operations expanded across continents, humanity faced its greatest challenge, but the occupation had only just begun. 6 months into the occupation, Council labor camps operated on every continent. Thousands of humans worked in mines extracting rare minerals. Others served in processing facilities where alien technology converted Earth resources into materials for Council projects. Commander Olivia Grant watched the Montana labor camp through binoculars from her mountainside position. Her resistance cell had grown to 50 members, former military personnel, police officers, and ordinary citizens willing to fight. "They rotate guards every 6 hours," said Sergeant Chris Bailey beside her. The former Marine had escaped when his unit was disbanded by Council forces. At 32, his combat experience made him Grant's most valuable fighter. "The Eastern Fence has fewer sensors," Grant noted. "That's our entry point." Back at their hidden base, Dr. Wright worked with a team of engineers to understand alien technology. They had captured small devices from Council patrols, but progress was slow without proper tools. "Their power systems operate on principles we barely understand," he explained, holding a damaged alien communicator. "But I'm starting to see patterns in the programming." The resistance movement spread through whispered conversations and hidden messages. Council collaborators lived in comfort in special zones, but most humans faced food shortages and harsh treatment. "Tonight, we make our first real strike," Commander Grant told her team. "Not just reconnaissance, but action. We'd free those people and show others that fighting back is possible." Under cover of darkness, Bailey led 10 fighters toward the camp perimeter. They used signal jammers built from modified Council technology to create a brief sensor blind spot. The fence took 3 minutes to cut, precious time when alien guards could appear any moment. Grant led the second team through the opening. They moved silently toward the barracks where 300 workers slept after 18-hour shifts. An alarm suddenly blared. A guard tower illuminated the intruders with a spotlight. "Plan B," Grant yelled over the radio. "Bailey, take the tower." Bailey and 2 fighters sprinted toward the tower while drawing fire. 1 fighter fell, but Bailey reached the structure and placed an explosive charge at its base. The blast toppled the 30-foot tower. Inside the camp, chaos erupted. Grant's team reached the barracks and began evacuating workers while fighting off guard patrols. The aliens had superior weapons but seemed confused by the humans' unpredictable tactics. "They expected us to surrender, not fight back," Grant realized as she watched the Council forces follow rigid protocols instead of adapting to the situation. By dawn, the resistance had freed 237 workers and captured the camp's supply depot. More importantly, they seized an intact Council communication device and weapons. News of the successful raid spread despite Council information controls. Other resistance cells attempted similar operations with varying success. Some failed tragically, but each attempt taught valuable lessons. Dr. Wright made his breakthrough 3 weeks later. "I've accessed their communication network," he announced, his eyes red from sleepless nights. "We can listen to their transmissions, and they don't know it." What they heard changed everything. The Council was not unified in its approach to Earth. Some species, particularly the Fellerans, argued that humans deserved fair treatment. Others, led by the Drachnids, saw humans merely as resources to exploit. "They're afraid of us," Lisa Martinez told Grant during their secret meeting. Martinez had escaped re-education and now worked undercover in a Council administrative center. "Not our technology, but our unpredictability. No species has ever resisted occupation so effectively." The resistance grew stronger each week. Humans proved remarkably adaptable at repurposing alien technology. What took the Council centuries to develop, humans modified and improved in months. Bailey's team captured the first Council outpost in North America near Denver. The aliens retreated after facing tactics they had never encountered. Humans used terrain, weather, and improvised weapons in ways the Council's military doctrine couldn't predict. As Dr. Wright monitored Council communications, he intercepted a message that confirmed their greatest hope. "The human question requires immediate reassessment. Current containment strategies are failing. These beings do not respond as expected to standard pacification methods." The Council had made their first major mistake. They had judged humanity by their own standards and found themselves utterly unprepared for what followed. Dr. Samantha Reed worked in a hidden laboratory beneath the ruins of Seattle. Around her, 20 scientists and engineers studied captured alien technology. For 3 months, they had been reverse engineering Council weapons, communication devices, and energy systems. This power cell wasn't designed efficiently, Reed explained to Commander Grant during her inspection visit. It's like they followed an ancient design without questioning if it could be improved. Reed was 38, brilliant, and intensely focused. Before the invasion, she had specialized in quantum physics. Now she led humanity's technological resistance. Can we replicate it? Grant asked. Better, Reed smiled, revealing a modified version of the alien power cell. Ours is 30% more efficient and half the size. The Council designs things to last centuries without change. We design for adaptation. This pattern repeated across all captured technology. Council species had developed their technology over thousands of years, following rigid principles. Humans approached problems differently. They improvised, combined concepts from various fields, and thought in ways the Council found incomprehensible. In Denver, Sergeant Bailey led training for new resistance fighters. The Council had expected humans to use conventional military tactics, predictable formations and strategies taught in Earth's military academies. Instead, Bailey trained his people in asymmetric warfare, guerrilla tactics, and psychological operations. They think in straight lines, he told his fighters. We need to think in circles, spirals, and zigzags. The Resistance developed weapons specifically designed to exploit weaknesses in Council armor and shields. Dr. Wright discovered that certain sound frequencies disrupted the Drachnid's sensory systems. Reed's team created devices that emitted these frequencies, rendering Drachnid soldiers disoriented and helpless. Council commanders couldn't understand how a primitive species created such effective countermeasures so quickly. Their reports to the Central Council showed growing concern. Humans display alarming adaptability. Technology that required 50 cycles to develop has been modified and improved by humans in less than one cycle. Recommend immediate reevaluation of species classification. Another breakthrough came when Dr. Wright fully decoded the Council's communication system. He discovered conversations between Council members about concepts they couldn't translate into their languages. They have no word for freedom as we understand it, he explained to the Resistance leadership. Their societies are built on rigid hierarchies thousands of years old. The idea of fighting for individual liberty makes no sense to them. Similarly, concepts like self-determination and revolution had no direct translation. The Council species had evolved in environments where stability and predictability ensured survival. Human unpredictability, born from Earth's chaotic environment, was their greatest advantage. Bailey's forces put this knowledge to use when they launched the first major operation to liberate a labor camp near Denver. Instead of attacking directly, they created diversions at multiple points, used captured Council communication codes to issue false orders, and convinced some guards that other guard units had rebelled. The resulting confusion allowed them to free over 500 workers without firing a single shot. The Council commanders reported inexplicable behavior patterns among the humans that defied logical analysis. Meanwhile, Dr. Wright established secure communication with Felleran dissidents within the Council. These cat-like aliens had opposed the harsh treatment of Earth from the beginning. Your species fascinates us, the Felleran representative told Wright during their first secret meeting. In 3 of your months, you've accomplished adaptations that took other species decades. The Fellerans provided crucial information about Council weaknesses and technology. They revealed that other species across the galaxy had been subjugated like humans, but none had resisted so effectively. As resistance movements spread globally, the Council faced a situation they had never encountered in thousands of years of expansion. Their reports now carried urgent warnings. Human creativity represents unprecedented strategic threat. Conventional suppression methods ineffective. Humans do not respond to stimuli as other species do. They adapt faster than our response protocols can be updated. This species may be more dangerous than initially assessed. The Council's greatest miscalculation was becoming clear. They had categorized humanity based on technology level, not potential. And that mistake was about to cost them everything. The Felleran ship arrived secretly at the Resistance headquarters in the Rocky Mountains. It landed in a camouflaged hangar built inside a mountain cave. The ship's captain, a tall feline being named Rytal, stepped out to meet Commander Grant. "We risk much by coming here," Rytal said, "but events demand direct action." Inside the command center, Rytal revealed the true extent of Council oppression throughout the galaxy. Holograms showed dozens of worlds where species have been classified as resource providers and essentially enslaved. "You are not alone in your struggle," the Fellerin explained, "but you are unique in your success." Dr. Wright studied the star map showing subjugated worlds. How many species would join a rebellion if given the chance? "Many," Rytal answered, "but they lack the spark that humans possess. Your adaptability and your concept of freedom are powerful motivators we rarely see." Commander Grant saw an opportunity. "Then we need to share that spark." Planning began for a broader resistance. The Fellerins provided coordinates for nearby occupied worlds where rebellion might succeed. They also brought technical specifications for Council battleships and defense systems. Dr. Reed's team worked day and night to develop weapons effective against Council technology. They created virus-like programs that could infect and disable Council ships. Bailey trained Special Forces teams to operate in different planetary environments. The Council, meanwhile, faced growing internal divisions. The Drachnids demanded harsher measures against Earth, while the Fellerins and their allies pushed for negotiation. This conflict erupted into open hostility when a Drachnid commander ordered the destruction of a human city despite Council prohibition. "They're fracturing," Dr. Wright told the Resistance leadership as he monitored Council communications. "Their system can't handle disagreement. They've operated by consensus for thousands of years." The first major opportunity came when Resistance forces captured a small Council transport ship intact. Engineers modified its systems, strengthened its weapons, and renamed it Defiance. Captain Natalie West, a former commercial pilot, was chosen to command the vessel. "We're going to take the fight beyond Earth," Commander Grant announced. "Captain West will lead our first mission to liberate the mining colony on Proxima Centauri B." The Defiance launched secretly from the moon base the Resistance had established. Its crew included humans and Fellerin advisors. They reached Proxima Centauri in days using the Council's faster-than-light drive. The colony there housed enslaved beings from a gaseous planet called Vren. The Vranians had been mining resources for the Council for over a century. They had no concept of resistance until the humans arrived. Captain West's approach was unorthodox by Council standards. Instead of challenging the defensive systems directly, she disabled their power source with targeted strikes. When Council ships responded, she used Earth naval tactics, maneuvers no Council commander had seen before. "They expect us to follow their combat doctrine," West told her crew. "Let's show them something new." The liberation of Proxima Centauri became the first victory in humanity's expanding rebellion. The Vranians joined the cause, contributing their natural ability to interface with electronic systems. As news spread through hidden channels, other oppressed species reached out. A coalition began to form under human leadership. Earth military tactics, combined with Council technology modified by human innovation, proved devastatingly effective. Commander Grant coordinated operations from Earth, while Bailey led ground forces on multiple worlds. Dr. Wright maintained communication between the growing Alliance members. Dr. Reed continued developing technologies that combined the best aspects of multiple species approaches. The Council's response was slow and hampered by their growing civil war. The Cooperation faction, led by the Fellerins, openly opposed the Domination faction's brutal tactics. Several Council species declared neutrality, effectively paralyzing decision-making. 6 months after the first liberation mission, the human-led coalition had freed 12 worlds and captured 15 Council vessels. These ships were quickly modified and improved by human engineers who reimagined their design concepts. In a secure Council chamber, Grand Ambassador Zorthal faced uncomfortable questions from Council leadership. "How could you so severely misjudge this species?" demanded the Supreme Counselor. We assess them by our standards, Zorthel admitted, but they do not think as we do. They do not fight as we do. And now, they do not build as we do. Perhaps we have made a grave error in our understanding of intelligence itself. The Council's greatest mistake was becoming their undoing. The War Council gathered in their emergency command center on Europa. Grand Ambassador Zorthel stood before holographic displays, showing the rebellion spread across 32 star systems. The domination faction had finally gained full control, pushing aside compromise advocates. "We must end this now," Zorthel declared. "The humans have inspired too many species to resist. Our authority throughout the sector is threatened." The Council assembled their largest military force in 1,000 years, 300 battleships, and thousands of smaller vessels. This armada began moving toward Earth, intending to crush the heart of the rebellion once and for all. On Earth, the Resistance monitored the approaching fleet. In the Rocky Mountain Command Center, Commander Grant studied the tactical displays with Bailey and Captain West, who had returned from her latest mission. "They're committing everything," said West. "This is their full strength." Dr. Wright entered with Dr. Reed. Both looked exhausted but excited. "We found something," Wright announced. "Show them, Samantha." Dr. Reed placed a small device on the table. Council weapons use a standardized energy frequency. "We've developed a field generator that disrupts that specific frequency without affecting our own technology." "Will it work against their entire fleet?" asked Grant. "If we can deploy it from multiple points in space," Reed explained. "The effect is limited in range, but devastating within that range." Grant nodded. "Then we need to position our ships strategically." The human-led coalition now controlled 67 vessels, Council ships modified with human innovations. Though outnumbered, they had advantages: unpredictable tactics, adaptive technology, and most importantly, they were fighting for freedom rather than control. President Freeman, operating from a secret location since the occupation began, addressed the coalition forces. "Today we face the greatest challenge in human history, not just for Earth, but for all beings who deserve freedom. We did not start this war, but we will finish it." The coalition deployed its ships in a scattered formation around Saturn. The gas giant's rings provided cover, and its many moons offered strategic positions for Reed's disruption devices. The Council fleet arrived with overwhelming confidence. Their ships formed traditional battle patterns used successfully for millennia. "They haven't learned anything," Captain West observed from the bridge of the Defiance, now the Coalition's flagship. "They're still fighting by the old rulebook." The battle began with the Council launching a massive first strike, thousands of energy weapons firing simultaneously. But when they reached the disruption field, the beams scattered harmlessly. The Coalition fleet responded with modified weapons, combining Council technology with human innovation. These weapons bypassed Council shields by changing frequencies and patterns too unpredictable for Council systems to track. Zorthel watched in horror as the first wave of Council ships reported critical failures. "Impossible. Their technology cannot match ours." But the Council's technological advantage had become their weakness. Their systems, unchanged for centuries, couldn't adapt to human modifications. Their tactics, rigid and formalized, couldn't counter the Coalition's unpredictable maneuvers. In space, Bailey led boarding parties onto key Council vessels. Using suits designed by Reed's team, human soldiers moved through Council ships with unprecedented speed. Council crew, trained to repel conventional attacks, found themselves overwhelmed by human close-quarter combat techniques. The turning point came when Bailey's team captured a Council command carrier. From there, they transmitted false orders to the Council fleet, creating confusion within their ranks. Ships fired on their allies or withdrew from battle positions, breaking the carefully coordinated Council formation. On Earth, resistance forces launched simultaneous attacks on Council bases. Without their orbital support, Council ground forces faced determined humans using weapons designed specifically to exploit alien weaknesses. After 18 hours of battle, The Council Fleet Commander requested communication with human leaders. On the screen appeared a Drachnid admiral, his scales dulled with age and stress. "We request cessation of hostilities," he stated formally. "The Council wishes to discuss terms." "Unconditional surrender only," President Freeman replied from Earth. "Your forces will withdraw from all occupied worlds. The Council will acknowledge the sovereignty of all species." The Admiral hesitated, thousands of years of Council supremacy weighing against the reality of defeat. "The Council has never surrendered. There's a first time for everything," Freeman said simply. In the Council Command Center on Europa, Zorthal watched the remains of his fleet. Half destroyed, many captured, others retreating. The greatest military force in known space, defeated by a species they had classified as primitive just 2 years earlier. How did we misjudge them so completely? He asked no one in particular. A Felleran observer who had remained neutral during the Council's civil war answered quietly, "You measured their technology, not their spirit. You counted their weapons, not their resolve. That was your mistake." The Battle of Saturn marked the end of Council dominance. Their surrender would begin a new chapter in galactic history, one where humans would play a leading role no one had anticipated, least of all the Council itself. 1 year after the Battle of Saturn, representatives from 47 species gathered on the rebuilt United Nations Plaza in New York. The massive Council space station, once orbiting Jupiter, had been moved to Earth orbit and transformed into a symbol of the new galactic order. President Freeman stood at the podium before the assembled delegates. Beside him stood Commander Grant, Dr. Wright, Dr. Reed, and Sergeant Bailey, the leaders who had turned occupation into liberation. "Today, we establish the Federation of Sovereign Species," Freeman declared, "founded on principles of equality, self-determination, and mutual respect." The new federation differed fundamentally from the Council it replaced. Each species held equal representation regardless of technological development. Resources were traded, not taken. Knowledge was shared, not hoarded. Zorthal, once Grand Ambassador of the Council, now represented the Drachnids as an equal member. The transition had been difficult for his species, who had enjoyed dominance for millennia. "We acknowledge our errors," Zorthal stated during the ratification ceremony. The classification of species based on technology ignored the true measure of intelligence, adaptability, creativity, and moral development. Dr. Reed became the first director of the Federation Technology Exchange Program. Her collaborative approach revolutionized scientific advancement. Species that had developed in isolation now combined their unique perspectives, creating innovations that would have taken thousands of years under the old system. The Council saw technology as something to control, Reed explained to a group of students from 12 different worlds. "We see it as something to share and improve together." Captain West received command of the first Joint Species Exploration Fleet. The Defiance led 20 ships beyond known space, their crews representing 15 different species working together. Their mission was peaceful exploration, finding new civilizations to invite as equals, not subjects. On colony worlds formerly under Council control, Bailey helped establish training centers where former slaves learned to govern themselves. The process wasn't always smooth, but Bailey found that every species valued freedom once they understood it. "The concept translates differently," he told a class of instructors, "but the desire is universal." Dr. Wright focused on communication between vastly different forms of life. His breakthrough translation systems allowed beings who experienced reality through entirely different senses to understand each other's thoughts and feelings. The Council believed different meant inferior, Wright said during a Federation science conference. "We believe different means valuable perspective." Commander Grant took charge of the Federation Defense Force. Unlike the Council military, which existed to enforce compliance, the FDF's primary mission was protection and emergency response. Ships that once carried weapons now also carried medical facilities and disaster relief equipment. 5 years after Earth's liberation, the former Council species had adapted to equality with varying degrees of success. Some, like the Fellerans, embraced the new system enthusiastically. Others struggled with the loss of privilege and power. In schools across the Federation, children of all species studied what became known as the Human Revolution. Educational programs examined how a supposedly primitive species had transformed galactic society by introducing concepts that technologically advanced civilizations had never considered. Humans showed us that progress isn't measured by the age of your civilization or the power of your weapons, Evrinian teacher explained to her students. It's measured by how you treat others and how you respond to challenges. The Drachnids particularly struggled to understand human innovation. A delegation visited Earth's historical museums, trying to comprehend how a species that had once fought with swords and spears could, in just a few centuries, advance to challenge beings with millennia of technological development. Your secret is chaos, a Drachnid scientist finally concluded after studying Earth's history. Your planet forced you to adapt constantly. The Council evolved in stable environments and stopped changing. You never stopped. On the 10th anniversary of liberation, a monument was unveiled in orbit where the first Council ships had appeared above Earth. It bore a simple inscription in the languages of all Federation members. Progress comes not from stability, but from challenge. Wisdom comes not from age, but from understanding. Strength comes not from power, but from diversity. The greatest mistake is believing you have nothing to learn. Former Grand Ambassador Zorthal stood beside President Freeman as the monument was dedicated. "We thought we were bringing order to chaos," the Drachnid said quietly. "Instead, you brought life to stagnation." Freeman smiled. "That's the thing about mistakes. They're only truly mistakes if you don't learn from them." Across the galaxy, Federation ships explored new worlds. Federation scientists made discoveries that the Council would have deemed impossible. Federation colonies thrived without exploitation, and beings of all forms looked to the future with something the Council had never truly understood: hope.